October the 11th shrubs. The long flowering periods of many of our shrubs are at last coming to an end. So although Choisya, Hyperica, Mescalonia, Hydrangea, botanical, fuchsia, and many roses are still in flower, we start to notice them far less. The shrubs we do notice tend to be Hibiscus, Abutilon, Viburnum, Euonymus, and Berberis. Climbers such as Clematis and Campsis are still in flower, but it is Virginia creeper, Parthenocissus quinquifolia, Boston ivy, Parthenocissus tricuspidata, and vines such as Vitis coignetii and Venus vinifera that rarely escape our notice because of their bright colours, especially on the walls of public houses. There are a whole host of rarer shrubs we don't see in London's front gardens, but have been collected together in places such as Kew, Wisley, and Chelsea Physic Art. A lot of the ornamental gardens in our park are quite disappointing for shrubs, except perhaps for the legions of orange, red, and crimson forms of Berberis. Hibiscus is very popular, especially the hybrids, and varieties of the rose mallow, Hibiscus syriacus, especially. This shrub got its name from a belief in the late 17th century that it came from Syria, or at least from the Near East. Its real home is still unknown even today. It's possibly China, but it has been cultivated in Japan and India for centuries. Hibiscus flowers are a little unusual, often being made up of two mixed colours, perhaps violet and blue, or lavender and pink. This gives them a slight extra glow. They also have much darker, often feathered eyes, which are generally strong colours such as maroon, carmine, or a garnet red. Some of these have been in flower since July, but it is now that we tend to notice them more. Abutilon flowers also catch our attention a lot because of their Chinese lantern-shaped flowers, which are often bright red, yellow, or purple, all three colours coming together in species such as Abutilon megapotamicum. They also have attractive leaves, which are sometimes either speckled, mottled, or just edged in yellow, rather than the usual white. Many have just recently escaped from conservatories and can now be seen growing happily against warm walls. Others, such as those from Brazil and China, are easily taken by the frost. Spindles, Euonymus species, also have a lot to offer this month. Not only are some in flower, and others carrying their famous orange, brightly coloured berry fruits, but many are producing a dazzling array of luminous pinks as their leaves start to colour up. They are found wild in Japan, Korea, and China, even growing in among the wild scrub below the Great Wall of China. Their English name derives from their wood being used to make spindles. It is less well known that they are also used to make viola bows and virginal keys, as well as matches. Species to look out for in plant collections are Euonymus yellowensis, Euonymus saccharinensis, Euonymus latifolius, and especially the winged spindle, Euonymus alatus. This is easier than most to recognize with the wing corky growths on its stems, but it is the reliable show of pinks and rose scarlets that tend to set it apart. Our own wild Euonymus europaeus is also not to be ignored. Even though it colours well, it often looks rather weak and spindly when found in hedges around London, the edge of London. More centrally, it is eclipsed by its much more brightly coloured cousins in gardens. This is also a good time to become better acquainted with the Viburnums. They are highly variable in their leaf colours, which can include copper, amber, claret, crimson, or purple. Viburnums to look out for are Viburnum lanthanoides, Viburnum carlesii, Viburnum foccatum, Viburnum plicatum, Viburnum setigerum in gardens, and Viburnum opulus and the Viburnum lantana in the wild. The wild Gelder rose, Viburnum opulus, produces a rich set of reds, and the wild wayfaring tree, Viburnum lantana, has an equally arresting set of crimsons. Good specimens of both are common enough along the North Downs, often now growing beside the blood-red stems of the common dogwood, Cornus sanguinea. The leaves of Viburnums are also very variable in themselves. They can be glossy, leathery, wrinkled, pleated, or just covered in velvet. Viburnum setigerum can even have shades of blue, red, green, orange, and yellow on a single leaf. With all this natural variation, it is not surprising that gardeners still continue to select for better and better forms. It is the rarer shrubs, if they are found in October, that are likely to prove the most exciting. Many are slow growing and dependent on acid soils, and so tend to be more expensive to buy and therefore less often grown. Enkianthus perulatus is one such example. It arrived in the unlikely setting of Ascot in 1869, and yet is still very rarely seen, even though some would say it produces the most intense scarlet of all. For the same reasons, Fothergilla is also uncommon, even though it is famous for its red, ambers, and old golds. It arrived even earlier in 1780, was promptly lost, and then arrived again in 1902. Yet even though it is in the elite of autumn shrubs, it can still be quite hard to find. Other rarities well worth hunting for are Disanthus, Colquan, Colquua, Colquua, Colcunia, Coletia, Cestrum, Pileostegia, Lespedeza, Areobotria, and Zarschneria for their flowers, and chokeberries, Aronia, dogwoods, corners, sweet pepper bushes, Clethra, sacred bamboos, Nandina, and the angelica tree, Aurelia alata, for their leaf colours. The latter has the largest and most complicated leaves in London. A single leaf can be up to a metre in length. To find some of these shrubs, trips to Kew, Wisley and Chelsea Physic Garden are recommended, but the Rookery in Streatham, Golden Hills Park and Coombe Wood in Addington Hills usually hold one or two surprises.